Welcome to the Vegas Insider YouTube channel. I'm TommyFreezePops here with 5 questions with our newest teammate, Joe Osborne, all the way up in Canada, joining the team. Joe, welcome to the squad. I'm going to ask you 5 questions here.
Let's do it.
So we get to know you.
Okay.
See how you fit in with the squad. Hopefully you do okay here. You feel good with 5 questions?
I feel fantastic.
All right, let's do it up. All right, question number 1. What can Vegas Insider viewers expect from you on a daily basis?
Well, you're going to get a lot of energy. You're going to get a lot of passion. You're going to get a lot of picks. Hopefully a couple of winners, too, because that's the point of this thing, right? Winning a couple bucks. You know, I like to dig into the stats. I like to dig into the trends. I like to have a lot of fun, too. I like to keep it light. Sometimes we forget that the sports thing and the sports betting thing is supposed to be fun. So we're going to take all of that and we're going to put it all together in a little show. We're going to be launching a show ahead of football season, 5 days a week with, a lot of actionable betting content, and we're going to have an absolute blast doing it.
Love to hear that. Can't wait to watch. And hopefully I can make a few dollars tailing you. That's usually how that works. All right, next question, Joe. I gave you a softball off the top there, so going a little harder here. What was the first bet you ever placed?
Well, I don't remember specifically, like in terms of who the teams were and, what type of bet it was. But I took a lot of early licks doing moneyline parlays with the NFL. And I specifically recall not a whole lot of logic went into the bets. It was taking a couple of big favorites, putting them together based on, hey, this team's record is better than this team, so let's put these two together. And I lost a lot of money doing that. So I like to think that I've learned my lesson over the years with that type of betting. Sometimes those type of bets can be profitable, but I took some licks early on, and hopefully I learned from them.
That's how I gamble, so that's usually why I lose a lot of money. So don't listen to anything I say on Twitter, ever.
All right, good to know.
So Joe, third question here. It's kind of a two-parter. What was the worst loss you ever had as a bettor? And then what was the worst loss you've ever suffered as a fan of just any of the teams that you root for?
My worst loss as a bettor wasn't a gigantic amount of money or anything. It was just how I lost the bet and the setting I was in. So I take you back to 2018, a summer night in August, a random Sunday night baseball game between the Washington Nationals and Chicago Cubs in Chicago. And I remember Max Scherzer was on the mound for the Nationals, and they were offering him at a pretty good number. I think it might have been around minus 130, which was a great number on Max Scherzer at the time. And, as baseball tends to go, it was a little boring. So I found myself falling asleep, coming in and out of it on the couch. And they end up waking up in the bottom of the 9th inning. Okay, good. The Nationals are up 3-0. Hey, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. There's 2 outs. Hey, looks pretty good. There's 2 strikes. I have no clue who the guy is at the plate. And what do you know? Next pitch, walk-off grand slam. Cubs win 4-3. David Bodie, I see him rounding the bases. Now, I've lost a lot of bets, primetime NFL games that just eviscerate your sleep, but nothing killed my sleep like losing that one back in 2018. Now, as an actual sports fan, I've been lucky enough to see most of my teams win, not the Miami Dolphins. You see the helmet and the stuff there in the background. So, I suffer with them every single season. But I will bring you back to the 1998 Winter Olympics in Nagano, Japan. Of course, you probably remember these things. And it was Team Canada hockey going up against the Czech Republic in the semifinals. And, of course, Canada is always a big favorite to go on and win. And I was just, probably in my early teens at the time, and it was one of these situations. It was the way they lost. It goes into overtime. It goes into a shootout. They end up losing in a shootout, and they didn't even put Wayne Gretzky out there as one of their 5 shooters. Gretzky was sitting there on the bench. They ended up losing. That's like the dream team going into overtime and not putting Michael Jordan out on the court. So that was a really bad one. And I remember one of the really bad things about that, though, was the Olympics taking place in Japan. I woke up at like 3 a.m. to watch that game. So that absolutely sucked.
Wow. That is horrible. That's a fireable offense. Was that entire coaching staff just fired at the end of the game immediately?
It was Mark Crawford, who was the head coach, I think, of the Colorado Avalanche at the time, and they were a hot team in the NHL. And it's just unimaginable. You know, Gretzky, admittedly, yes, he was past his prime, but he is the best. And this was
Wayne
one of
Gretzky.
the best to ever do it. And this is one of the biggest moments ever in Team Canada hockey. And you don't put him out there? Maybe, okay, if you only have one shooter to put out there. You have 5 guys, and you didn't put Gretzky out there? So that was a rough one. That was like, well before I knew anything about sports betting. But that was a really, really tough beat.
Well, I think he deserved to lose his NHL job for that as well. All right, speaking of your betting career, is there one particular bet throughout your whole time wagering that you are most proud of?
I think so. You know, there's a lot that stand out. I love the ones where you put a pick out there and you have a dozen people come out and tell you that you're wrong and you absolutely just smash it and win the bet easily. You know, I picked some Super Bowl winners over the year, but I got a super, super random one for you. And we're going to go back to the 2020 NBA All-Star Game. Kawhi Leonard, 16-1 to win the MVP. So I picked that one. That's one of the bigger future bets I've ever won, actually. And it is a weird bet, and my handicap on that one was based solely on the previous year's game where he didn't play a whole lot, but when he was on the court, whenever he touched the ball, he shot it. He was a total ball hog, so I went in there with that logic, and I threw a couple bucks down and walked away with a nice profit. 16-1, Kawhi Leonard, 2020 NBA All-Star Game MVP.
That's the type of stuff you're going to be able to expect here from Joe Osborne on Vegas Insider. NBA All-Star Game MVP futures. I love it. All right, you're a Canadian. This is the last official question for you here.
Okay.
You're a Canadian. What is the biggest trope about our neighbors to the north that isn't true? Are you guys all just polite hockey players? You know, oh, yes, thank you. Oh, yeah, you know. Like, is that legit, or what are we working with here?
I mean, that's a pretty big stereotype, and there are a lot of polite people. You get a lot of yes, no, thank you, please, excuse me. You get a ton of that, but not everyone up here is nice. I know a lot of assholes, including some of my closest friends, right? So maybe that's not entirely true about Canada. And I think everyone thinks Canada is much colder than it actually is, right? Like, it's not much colder in where I live in Eastern Canada as it would be in Boston or New York, places I've been in the winter. Now, when you go really far up north to the Arctic, of course, it's really cold up there. But yeah, I would say those are probably the 2 biggest stereotypes.
So, Joe confirmed a-hole. All right, final question here for you, Joe. It's a bonus question because we did 5. This is the 6th bonus question. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No. No. And I hate this question. You know, I see this go around. I see people wasting all this time debating it, but quite simply, it is not a sandwich. It's a type of a handheld food. Is a taco a sandwich? I don't think people would say yes. So I would put it more in that category of other, outside of a sandwich. So I would say no, a hot dog is not a sandwich.
All right, so we know where Joe stands on the hot dog versus sandwich debate. Joe, welcome to the team. We're excited to have you, buddy. We're excited to make some money with you. Chase that paper.
Yeah, I'm fired up to join you guys. You know, we're going to really expand that footprint of Vegas Insider. We're going to create a lot of exciting content, and I'm fired up to get started.